You're about to make a mistake that's going to cost you, not in some vague, figurative way, in real dollars. And the worst part, most people who make that mistake think they're being smart. Stick with me until the end of this video because you're going to learn a truth that the car dealer will never tell you. And hey, if you've already made that mistake before, drop a comment below telling me how much you lost. I promise you won't be alone. First things first, if you're new here, hit subscribe and leave a like because this content is going to save your wallet, literally. So, is it worth buying a car with over 100,000 miles on it? That's the million-dollar question. Or better put, a $7,000 or $8,000 question, depending on the decision you make. You could save that money or flush it straight down the drain. Let's take this slow because it doesn't have a one-paragraph answer. Picture this. Two buddies, Jake and Tyler, both need a car. Jake goes out and buys a 2019 Honda Civic with 82,000 miles on it for $14,500. Tyler, Mr. Picky, says he'll never buy a car with more than 50,000 miles because old cars are trouble. Tyler goes and buys the same 2019 Civic with 47,000 miles on it for $18,200. That's a $3,700 difference. $3,700. You know what you can do with $3,700? You can do a full inspection on Jake's car, change everything it needs, put 4 new tires on it, and still have enough left over for a weekend trip to Nashville or a long weekend at the beach. But here's the point nobody talks about. Pay close attention because this is the heart of everything. The car with over 100,000 miles isn't the problem. The problem is who put those 100,000 miles on it. Let me explain. Engine oil is the lifeblood of a car. There's no sugarcoating that. A Civic, a Camry, a Corolla, an F-150, whatever engine you're looking at in the American market today needs regular oil changes. And here in the US, especially if you're in Chicago, Atlanta, Houston, or any major city with heavy stop-and-go traffic, changing the oil every 5,000 miles might even be playing it too loose. Why? Because oil degrades based on time and heat, not just mileage. A car that sits in bumper-to-bumper traffic on I-95 or the 405 every single morning, engine heating up and cooling down, that car can have degraded oil with only 3,500 miles on it since the last change. And if the previous owner didn't know that, or worse, knew and didn't care, the inside of that engine could be an absolute mess that looks perfectly fine from the outside. So you show up to a dealership or a private seller, the car looks immaculate on the outside, clean seats, that little pine tree air freshener hanging from the mirror, no dents or scratches on the body, and you think you found the deal of the century. But the engine? If the previous owner was changing oil every 8,000 or 10,000 miles, you're inheriting a ticking bomb, and that bomb is going to go off in your pocket, not theirs. So the first golden rule is this: maintenance history is worth more than mileage, full stop. How do you find out? Simple. Ask for receipts or invoices for every oil change. Ask for the service history from the dealership if the car was bought new. Check the Carfax report. A well-maintained car has that history. A careful owner keeps all of it. If the seller gets evasive when you ask for maintenance records, you already know what that means. And there's one more detail almost nobody mentions, but you need to hear it. Stick around because the next point can completely change how you evaluate a used car. Have you heard of a pre-purchase inspection? There's something called a PPI, a pre-purchase inspection, that any certified mechanic or auto inspection company does for around $100 to $150. That inspection will tell you if the car was in an accident, if it was rebuilt, if it has any structural issues. It's like an X-ray for the car. And a lot of people skip that step to save $100 and end up losing $2,000, $5,000, $8,000 on a car that had hidden structural damage under a fresh coat of paint and some body filler. $150 for the inspection, $8 grand in losses avoided. Do the math. Now hold on. Before you leave thinking I'm telling you to only buy new cars, that's not it at all. Because there's a second type of previous owner who is the complete opposite of the careless one, and that person is a gem. The careful first owner. That's the one who treated the car like a member of the family, changed the oil every 4 to 5,000 miles, sometimes earlier if they've been stuck in a lot of stop and go, had the transmission fluid, differential, and suspension checked, didn't wait for the brakes to start grinding to change the pads, already changed them beforehand. That person has receipts for everything. They have the owner's manual with all the service stamps. And when you buy a car from that person, you're not buying 100,000 miles of wear. You're buying 100,000 miles of care. And in that case, 100,000 miles on a well-maintained engine is practically nothing. A modern, popular American engine, say a 2.5 in a Camry, a 1.5T in a Civic, or the EcoBoost in an F-150, those engines, if properly maintained, can comfortably hit 250,000 to 300,000 miles without needing a rebuild. 300,000 miles! That means you'd buy the car at 100,000 miles and still have 200,000 ahead of you with the original engine. And notice that the US has an interesting advantage here. The most popular cars, the Camry, Civic, F-150, RAV4, Silverado, have affordable parts and mechanics who specialize in them in practically every town in the country. That brings down your maintenance costs dramatically compared to European luxury cars. But that's not all. Let me tell you now about the parts you need to watch when a car passes 100,000 miles. Because there's a short list of components that are just normal wear on any car, and that if the previous owner didn't take care of them, you're gonna have to. And if you know this before you buy, you negotiate the price accounting for that cost, and the purchase is still a great deal. Timing belt or timing chain. On cars with a timing belt, like older Hondas, some Toyotas, certain Subarus, the belt needs to be replaced between 60,000 and 90,000 miles depending on the model. If a car comes to you with 100,000 miles and the belt hasn't been replaced, you've got a bomb under the hood. A snap timing belt can destroy the engine. Repair bill? Easily $1,500 to $5,500. Newer cars like the Camry, Civic, Silverado, and RAV4 use a timing chain, which is more durable and doesn't have a set replacement interval. But verify which one applies to the car you're evaluating. Spark plugs. Simple, cheap replacement, but it makes a huge difference in performance and fuel economy. A set of iridium spark plugs, the best kind, runs about $40 to $80 depending on the engine. Installation is simple, less than an hour of labor. If the car has 100,000 miles and there's no record of plug replacement, factor that into your negotiation. Filters. Air filter, fuel filter, cabin air filter. Together, maybe $50 to $80 in parts. You can change them yourself if you want, nothing mysterious about it. Fluids. Brake fluid, power steering fluid if the car has it, automatic transmission fluid if it has an automatic, and this is the most important fluid after engine oil. A destroyed automatic transmission is a $2,000 to $5,000 bill. Shocks, struts, and suspension bushings. This is where most cars with over 100,000 miles start to show it. If the previous owner drove aggressively, hit potholes at full speed, and let's be honest, American roads have some legendary potholes, from Detroit to New York to New Orleans, then the shocks and struts might be crying for help. A full set of shocks or struts plus labor runs about $600 to $1,200 depending on the model. If you test drive the car and it's bouncing excessively, or you hear clunking or banging over bumps, negotiate that cost into the price. And here's where most people make the fatal mistake. They want to save on the purchase and end up paying a lot more later. They buy the car without an inspection, without maintenance history, without checking the suspension, without checking the transmission, without checking the fluids. They buy for the lowest price on the market. And then 6 months later, they're at the shop spending everything they saved on the purchase, plus a generous extra on top. If you're recognizing yourself in that situation right now, if you've already done that or know someone who has, comment below. I know you won't be alone. Now let's talk about something practical and important. How do you negotiate the price of a car with over 100,000 miles intelligently? Step 1. Research the market value. Go on Carfax, KBB, Edmunds, Cars.com, AutoTrader. Look at 5 or 10 listings for the same model, year, and mileage. Understand what the real price range is for that car. Step 2. Get the pre-purchase inspection. $100 to $150 well spent that gives you negotiating power or saves you from a costly mistake. Step 3. Ask for the maintenance history. If the owner doesn't have it or won't show it, mentally deduct 10 to 15% from the value because you're going to have to normalize the maintenance yourself. Step 4. Test drive the car for real, not just around the block. Get on a highway if you can. Test the acceleration, the braking, how the transmission responds, whether there's any unusual noise at higher speeds, whether the steering is centered. In the U.S., also pay attention to how it handles on rough pavement and in highway lane changes, our highway test. Step 5. Negotiate based on data. You're not asking for a discount because you feel like it. You're asking because you have concrete information. Did the inspection show the suspension needs attention? Get a quote and subtract it from the price. No maintenance history? Subtract the cost of normalizing it. Paint concerns? Subtract the risk. And speaking of risk, there's one type of car I personally prefer to avoid above 100,000 miles, and it might surprise you. A car with a CVT automatic transmission from a brand that has a known history of problems with that specific transmission. The CVT works great when it's new and properly maintained, but when it's neglected, when the fluid wasn't changed on the correct schedule, that transmission starts developing problems that are progressive and irreversible, and the repair or replacement bill starts at $3,000 and can reach $8,000 to $10,000. Some very popular brands in the US, like Nissan and Subaru, have had models with CVT reliability issues. If the car you're evaluating has a CVT and no record of transmission fluid changes, think very carefully. Now, before you go, let me give you a bonus tip that most used car buyers completely ignore, and it can give you a huge advantage in the negotiation. Talk to a mechanic before you buy, not after. Just like that. If you already have a trusted mechanic, one of those shops that's been servicing your family's cars for years, take the car there before closing the deal. Most sellers will allow it. And an experienced mechanic will spend 10 or 15 minutes looking at the car and tell you with impressive accuracy what's fine, what's close to needing attention, and what already does. That pre-purchase diagnosis is gold. And if you don't have a trusted mechanic, in the US, there are services like Lemon Squad or Carfax certified inspection centers that will send an inspector to wherever the car is. No more excuses. Wrapping up everything we talked about today, a car with over 100,000 miles can be an excellent deal. But it depends. It depends on the maintenance history, especially the first owner. It depends on how the oil was changed, how often, what type of oil. It depends on the condition of the suspension, the transmission, the fluids. And it depends on you doing your homework before signing anything. Pre-purchase inspection, maintenance records, highway test drive, trusted mechanic evaluation. Do all that, and buying a car with 100,000, 120,000, even 150,000 miles can be the smartest financial decision you make this year. No exaggeration. And there's one more thing I want you to think about. In the US, insurance rates, registration fees, property taxes in some states, and especially depreciation can represent a major difference between a new car and a used one. A car that's already taken its biggest depreciation hit, typically the first 3 years, can save you thousands of dollars in those costs alone, not counting the purchase price savings. Buying smart means buying with all those factors on the table. And if you got value from this content, if you learned something new today, here's what to do. Drop a like right now. It helps the channel grow and gets this kind of content to more people who need it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're feeling generous, share this video with someone you know who's about to buy a used car. But the most important thing today, right here in the comments, what's your biggest question when buying a used car? What's the fear that's holding you back? I read every comment and I'll reply, and who knows, it might become the topic of the next video. See you next time.